This video will show you 3 ways to increase your vibration in order to attract what you want. I'm going to show you the practical tools that I use in my own life in order to increase my state of being so that I'm much more likely to attract what I want. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you those ways that I use in order to raise my vibration to attract what I want. And the first thing I want to do is explain that as you raise your vibration, once again, I know that that's kind of a woo-woo type saying, but understand that everything in life is vibration. This is what quantum physics is showing us. This is what is showing us that there are different things, they're just vibrating at a different rate. So how do we get what we want to attract in our life? And the idea is that we must resonate with the desires. We must resonate with feeling like we already have that which we want to experience in order to resonate and perceive as to what that is. Now, I've used this analogy before, but it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Realize that first off, everything exists here and now. The only moment that exists is this moment right now. The idea is that by the time tomorrow gets here, it will be this moment now, just from a different point of view. And we've never experienced tomorrow, we've only experienced this moment. Now, using this analogy and using this ideology, realize that the way that we actually experience that which we want is not so much that we attract it from over here and bring it into here. It's more so that we make what is invisible visible by resonating with it. It's almost like we will perceive of certain opportunities that before we didn't perceive of because we simply weren't resonating with them. So think of this more in the form of resonating with what we want to experience, and as we embody how we prefer to be, we're then more likely to experience that reality or that experience. So the first way that I have for you in order to increase your vibration to attract what you want is to understand that the most important thing is your own state of being. When you increase your state of being and when you start to follow your passion, there's a feeling that comes with that, and that feeling is a very high vibe state that allows us to perceive of what we want much quicker. Now, think of this in the form of we have the idea of the higher self and the lower self. Now, I've used this analogy before, but imagine that in order for us to perceive or order us to get to what we call our higher self, the feeling of what that is, the thread that points us in that direction is the feeling of passion and excitement. As we simply decide that we are going to take our passion seriously, or we're going to take our passion and we're going to follow it, that's when we start to really step into the true power of who we are. And that's when we really allow ourselves to give ourselves permission to elevate our own state of being. Now, an easy way that I've done this is I realize that with this process, the most important thing isn't what happens to me, it's the way I respond to what happens to me. Now, the power is in this because when we realize that any negative situation that happens, we can choose to feel the way we want. You know, I know there's been things in my own life, these negative things that have happened, but there's times that I've looked at that and I've said, you know what, I perceive of this, I'm going to simply choose to be in a positive state no matter what, and then it's like everything transforms. It's like everything starts to happen in the right way simply because I've chosen that this is going to be the kind of experience that I have, or this is going to be the state of being I have. So first off, realize that you choose your own state of being, and that the more you choose how you prefer to feel, regardless of what the situation is, the more you're going to be elevating your state of being and raising your own vibration. Now, the second way has to do with a process that I've used before, and it's going to have a little bit of a twist to it. So I've explained before the power of acting as if. Now, when we act as if, which means that even though we might not have the external circumstances that we desire, we act as if anyways, what we do is we embody the best version of ourselves, we embody the reality that we prefer, and as we are doing that, we are creating patterns within us that are resonating with the desires and with the outcomes that we prefer. Now, the idea behind this is to act as if and pay attention to the paradigm, pay attention to the way that we think, and as we start to develop those thought patterns, we're going to start to change our identity or the way that we view ourselves. Now, the power of this is that the more that we are able to embody the best version of ourselves, the more that we are raising our vibration, and the more that we are starting to see things through a new perspective, through a new point of view. So to do this, ask yourself the question, what is the best ideal for myself? What is the best ideal version of myself, and how would I view the world? You may see that you would be doing something specific for a living, that you would interact with people in a certain way, that you would have a certain type of body language. And what you do is throughout your day, when you're at your house, throughout your day, what you do is you start to create those same patterns. Anything that you want to do in your life, there is somebody that has also done it before, and what you can do is you can model the actions that they've taken. If there's a certain type of business that they're in and you want to be in that business, that ideal version of yourself, there's somebody else that has done that before. There are books you can read on autobiographies. There's plenty of ways that you can start to see this from a new point of view, and as you start to model what other people have done, you will then eventually get the results that they've gotten. So realize this as more of a pattern recognition, and the more that you act as if, the more that you embody the best version of yourself, and you start to really resonate with what you want. So once again, act as if, see through the paradigm of the best version of yourself, and then model the patterns of somebody who's already had the kind of success that you want. And as you do that, you are creating the right patterns, and you're creating the right actions that will align to getting that outcome that you want in your life. Now, the third way that I have for you is a simple way of realizing that your happiness is simply a matter of giving yourself permission to be happy. Now, this is also going to have to do with letting go of the outcome, and at the same time having fun with the process. Many times we will associate taking action with pain. We'll think that, oh, I have to take all that action to get what I want. And sometimes people on my channel will disagree when I talk about action and how I think that it's such a powerful and important part of the process, because when you start to love to take action, it changes everything. It's about taking inspired action. So behind this, realize that we are all wired in the same way when it comes to our pain and pleasure mechanism in our body, the way we feel motivated. The more we associate action and the process with pleasure, the more we will enjoy it, and the more we associate pain with laziness or sitting around, the more that we will start to move away from that. So we will always move in the direction what we associate with pleasure, and we will always move away what we associate with pain. So the idea behind this is to associate the pleasure with what we want to become. Associate the pleasure with the ideal version of ourselves. And as we start to align our habits in that direction, as we start to move away from the stagnant self-image that maybe we have, that's where everything really begins to change. So realize the best part of this is that you decide what that is. If it's hard for you to go to the gym, there may be an association of pain with going to the gym, and there may be association with pleasure with watching television or eating a certain type of food. If you switch these around and you hold the frame, you simply decide you're going to do it, with time it gets easier and easier. When you go to the gym for maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks, after that it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes much easier to do because it's in that rhythm and it's a habit. Same thing works here. Simply choose that you're going to have certain thought patterns. You're going to start to associate pleasure with taking action. You will start to enjoy the process. You will start to feel better about it. And at the same time, you can give yourself permission to feel happy whenever you want. This is simply a matter of choice, and that's where all the power is. So remember that all you have to do is realize that you can elevate your state of being by choosing your own state of being, by choosing to be happy right now. That secondly, what you can do is act as if, as you create those patterns within you, you can start to see through those new paradigms. You can realize that you can model somebody who's already accomplished the same paradigm or the same outcome that you want, and that as you start to do that, you create a ripple of seeing the kind of results that you want. And then thirdly, associate pleasure with taking action, associate pleasure with the process. Simply decide and give yourself permission to feel happy right now, and I promise you, everything will begin to change. So With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear so that you're able to see the daily videos that I do. And other than that, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.